Anytime you're ready.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled meeting for Taber Town Council, December 16th, 2019. First off, we have a subdivision authority meeting to take care of, so I'd first call that meeting to order, please, and ask for an adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, also move.
Yes. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And just for the record, Councillor Stravas is excused from today's meeting as a result of some vacation time away. All right, on to item number 3, adoption of the minutes. 3.1, minutes of regular meeting of Subdivision Authority, November 25th, 2019. Councillor Thames?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of Subdivision Authority held on November 25th, 2019 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item number 4, subdivision applications. Item 4.1, subdivision TT 19-0-006. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, I'm going to call Ms. Monks up to make the presentation on this one, please.
Thank you, Ms. Monks.
Right. Sorry. Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of council. This application for subdivision is to separate title for a semi-detached dwelling to allow fee simple title to each lot. The application was circulated to adjacent properties as well as to internal and external stakeholders on October 29th. It was advertised in the Taber Times for 2 consecutive weeks, November 6th and 13th. Finally, it was presented to the Municipal Planning Commission at their December 9th meeting. MPC has recommended that the Subdivision Authority approve the application with the conditions as identified. During the circulation, it was identified by Public Works and Engineering that the property currently has one single water and sewer service to it, and the request was made that if subdivision be approved, the owner should provide a new separate service for each of the lots. The existing services are 60 years old, so when the contractor is digging the road up to run a new service, the existing service should also be replaced so as to not have to dig up the road and patch again when the other fails. This is what has been recommended by administration and the Municipal Planning Commission in the conditions of approval for this subdivision. The homeowner attended Municipal Planning Commission and requested that it be reconsidered and the existing condition left in place with agreements in place to provide for any future issues to this joint servicing. Public Work estimates that the cost to run the new services to both lots would be approximately $10,000 to $12,000. However, that would be for costs on the town side only, and does not include any other costs that would be associated with work that had to be completed on the private property. The owner may determine that this cost is prohibitive and the best solution is to not subdivide the property, but rather keep it under a single ownership, in which instance it would remain grandfathered under the old bylaw which permitted this servicing. The current Town of Taber Utility Bylaw 14-2013 does not allow for two or more buildings to be serviced under a single service. Administration is recommending approval of this subdivision with the conditions provided in the package and as approved by Municipal Planning Commission.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Monks whatsoever? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question, Ms. Monks. So the homeowner can choose not to proceed with the subdivision, even though we might approve it?
Well, we can approve the subdivision, and if they determine that it's cost prohibitive and they do not want to go forward with it, then they could just let the application lapse and not move forward with registration or separating of the titles. That would be within their power to do so.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Bruin.
The question, is this building suitable to be subdivided? Like, is it up to code with fire barriers and whatnot?
That would also be a requirement for them to proceed with it, but it should be, because it's already, you know, a semi-detached dwelling with 2 different residences on each side. So it should have met code when it was constructed originally. So those should not be an issue, but they would have a confirmation of all of that with the servicing agreement to make sure that the party wall agreement was in place and that they met code with everything.
With the building being 1960, would any faults in it be just grandfathered forward, or does everything have to be brought up to current code?
No, I believe that they would have to update anything that occurred in order to create the second title, and we would have to handle that under the servicing agreement.
Right. Anything else arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Garner.
I'm prepared to make a motion at this time, Your Worship, that the subdivision authority approve subdivision application TT 19-0-006, part of lot number 29, block 44, plan 266JK within the southwest quarter, section 5, township 10, range 16, west of the 4th meridian, civically described as 5121 52nd Avenue, with the following conditions 1 through 8 inclusive.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 4.2, subdivision TT 18-0-001 extension. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, this is a previous subdivision that's been approved, and the applicant is coming back for an extension. Ms. Monks, can you provide a bit more detail?
All right, thank you.
Sure. On February 26, 2018, an application for subdivision was approved by the Subdivision Authority to allow for a residential single-dwelling district lot to be subdivided into two. At the time, the HERF regulations were in effect and added some additional costs to construction for the landowner, so the application was never completed. The applicant has replied for an extension to that approval and requests that Council provide an additional year to complete the application requirements and move forward. Administration is recommending that the Subdivision Authority approve the extension of application for a one-year period ending December 16th, 2020. This will give the applicant the necessary time to complete any requirements and register the subdivision.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Monks? Councillor Bruin.
I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Mayor,
All right,
that the subdivision authority approve an extension for subdivision application TT 18-0-001, lot 18, lot 3, plan 0610839, within northwest quarter, section 6, township 10, range 16, west of the 4th, civically described as 4441 57th Avenue, for a one-year period starting December 16th, 2019.
all right, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Good, thank you. And I will just ask for a motion to close the meeting, please. Councillor Thames.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And I will call the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting to order and ask for an adoption of the agenda as presented. Councillor Garner.
I so move.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item number 3, adoption of the minutes. Item 3.1, minutes of regular meeting of council November 25th, 2019. Mr. Armfield.
Yeah, the meeting minutes are there in front of council for your consideration towards adoption.
Thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering?
Mr. Mayor, prepared to make a motion
All right.
that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on November the 25th, 2019 as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Business arise from the minutes. There are none. Item 5, bylaws 5.1, Taber Municipal Police Commission Bylaw Amendment 21-2019. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, at the last, well, not the last, it was 2 meetings ago because they had a special police commission meeting. There was a motion that came out of that meeting requesting council amend the Taber Municipal Police Commission bylaw to allow for temporary extensions of service of volunteers under extenuating circumstances. We have facilitated that consideration to council through this request for decision. If there's any further questions, please let me know.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Armfeldt, is there a problem recruiting members, citizen members to the Taber Municipal Police Commission?
I suppose we'll find that out in closed session when council goes to designate who will be sitting on that board over the next year. There is a full complement of people that are interested, such that there's a couple of vacancies coming up as due course with regards to the people that are on there, and we have sufficient people interested to sit on that board going forward if council wishes to appoint them this evening. So we, from the in a strict black and white perspective, it doesn't seem to be an issue. There's 2 vacancies and there's 2 interested members to sit on that board.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Armstrong, thank you.
Councillor Towns?
I was gonna ask the same question, and in light of the answer, could we maybe defer this till after we have had that conversation about the members that have expressed an interest to sit on that committee?
Of course, it's up to council what you would like to do. This is where this is falling on the agenda, so it should be dealt with here, or it could be tabled for a subsequent meeting. It would be somewhat strange, but you could certainly do it through a form of a motion to address this after your closed session.
Councillor Bruin?
Mr. Mayor, by making this motion, it's always, this is if we need to use it, I believe, so it's not necessarily going to be used, but it gives us the opportunity to permit temporary extensions.
I just had a clarification question about extenuating circumstance. Unless I missed something, I wasn't sure if that's defined, or how would we define it, extenuating circumstance in this regard?
No, it's not defined. And we've had that conversation before in light of the council organizational bylaw as well, where a councillor is allowed to call in during extenuating circumstances. That's certainly up to council to define what those extenuating circumstances are, as it has been facilitated in the past for a councillor to be on the phone, case by case. I guess council would have to evaluate each circumstance on its own merit and make that judgment.
Councillor Towns?
After Councillor Bruin's explanation of how that works, I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Councillor Towns.
Council gives first reading to the Taber Municipal Police Commission bylaw 21-2019 at this meeting.
All right, motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. All right, the second motion requirement. Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I move that council gives second reading to Taber Municipal Police Commission bylaw 21-2019 at this meeting.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And the third motion requirement, Councillor Garner.
To make that motion that council unanimously agrees to proceed to third and final reading to the Taber Municipal Police Commission bylaw 21-2019.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously.
Oh,
Thank
no,
you. Sorry,
I'm opposed.
you're opposed. All right, okay. So it ends there.
Certainly does.
All right, correct. Thank you. All right, on to item 5.2, second and third reading road closure bylaw 14-2019. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, I'm going to call Ms. Monks back up. This is a regular process with road closures. This one's been endorsed by the minister, I'm assuming. Okay, please go ahead.
All right, so your worship, members of council, in June of 2019, council directed administration to proceed with a conditional land sale and to process a road closure application in order to accommodate the sale of that unused road right-of-way. Since that time, first reading of the road closure has been completed, as well as the required advertisement of the closure in the August 7th and 14th issues of the Taber Times. The bylaw was then forwarded to the Minister of Transportation for approval and was returned to us in early December. We're now ready to proceed with second and third reading of the road closure bylaw. Once that step is complete, administration will be able to register the road closure and be able to finalize the land sale agreement with the purchaser. Administration is recommending that we continue the process and complete the road closure with second and third reading, please.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Armfield, Ms. Monks. Is it possible to reverse a road closure bylaw? Or rescind?
Not technically. It is fairly easy for the municipality to make a road. It is much easier to make a road than to rescind the existence of a road. So if the situation came up where the municipality wanted to create a road after we had removed the existence of one, it's a fairly straightforward process with land titles. It simply needs to be surveyed and designated as a road and sent to land titles, and it is then designated a road.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Bruin.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Mayor, that council gives second reading to road closure bylaw 14-2019.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Is someone prepared to make the third reading motion? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council gives third reading to road closure bylaw 14-2019.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. Item 6, action item 6.1, 2020 amended capital budget. Mr. Armfield.
Yeah, this is coming back from, really, I got to take responsibility for this oversight from the last council meeting. There was some pretty clear direction that was given to council to include the concession renovation at the arena in 2020. It got put in that agenda item as 2021. I just missed that. Both John and Mr. Orwa and I had missed that. And then when it got passed in council, of course, that capital budget got established with that in 2021. So we're bringing this back for council's consideration just to confirm and let you have another round at designating the arena concession in 2020. And then subsequent to that, there has been some direction coming down from the Solicitor General's office with regards to the intoxilizer that was going to be renewed with the Taber Police Service. That particular model that they were going to renew is going to become obsolete in a couple of years. That's the direction that Chief Abella has gotten from the Solicitor General. So he wants to put off the purchase of that intoxilizer for a couple of years until the new accepted model is out there. This one's coming close to the end of its life, but he figures he can get a couple more years out of it until the new accepted model is designated. So those are the two changes.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bruin?
Mr. Mayor, to Corey, if you can answer, the intoxilizer, if its lifespan is 10 years, are we going to go through a period of having an invalid intoxilizer, or will we be up for questioning any results?
I asked Chief Abella that, and he was fairly confident that they would not be facing that sort of consideration if somebody had given a breath sample through the current intoxilizer and then it was challenged in court. It does have to be maintained and approved, and he figures that's fine for the next couple of years.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? Councillor Bruin?
With that, Mr. Mayor, I'm prepared to make a motion
All right,
that council amends the 2020 capital budget to include $120,000 for the concession renovation and moves the intoxilizer for $15,000 from 2020 to 2022.
all right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Good, thank you. Item 6.2, public auction reserve bid. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, I'm going to call Mr. Orwa up to discuss these. Or Miss Weiss.
This time I'll give it to Donna.
Okay. I didn't. I got the look there. Sorry. Sorry, Donna.
That was for him. As part of our annual tax recovery process, council needs to set the reserve bids and the terms of sale for the auction. So really, I'm just looking for approval of the reserve bids and terms.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Councillor Beckering?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Donna, there's 4 particular properties involved here. Is that larger than normal, or is it about normal?
Last year we had 3, didn't we? 3. They didn't go through. I mean, in the end, it was cleared up. No auctions.
Right. Any other questions, or Councillor Tams?
So, Mr. Mayor, I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right.
The council approves the following conditions pertaining to the March 9th, 2020 tax sale of property tax accounts number 415-2250, 524-9380, 545-0030, and 574-9200. For the attached values of each roll number to be set as the reserve bids, these being the assessed value as provided by the town of Sabres assessors, and the terms of sale are 10% cash deposit, balance within 45 working days.
All right, motion on the table. Any further discussion?
Question, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Bruin.
Are these tax sale, these properties are up for sale? Are they repeat offenders, or they're not the same ones all the time? Are they?
I have 1 repeat.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Once again, motion on the table. Any further discussion? Councillor Becker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for clarification to Council Bruin, these people are not necessarily repeat offenders.
All right. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Donna. Item 6.3, encroachment agreement, 5108 44th Avenue. Mr. Armfield.
Yeah, I believe this is the first evening that Mr. Rob Jansen will be coming to present in front of council. Or have you been here before? No? Second? Okay, sorry. Couple of encroachment agreements over the 1 foot or 30 centimeter variance that administration is allowed to do, and I'll just turn it over to Mr. Jansen to give us an introduction then, please.
Good afternoon, Your Worship and members of council. I'll go through the first item, 6.3 for encroachment. So administration received an encroachment agreement for a fence encroachment of 0.3 meters into a municipally owned laneway for the property located at 5108 44 Avenue. The encroachment is, as I mentioned, 0.3 meters. And as per Appendix A to the Encroachment Agreement Policy PLN 3, any encroachment equal to or greater than 0.3 meters must be brought forward to council for consideration.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bruin.
One question, Mr. Mayor. If we give this encroachment, we agree to it, if they go to rebuild the fence, are they required to put it back on the property line? Or is it we are giving them this property? If you know.
So this should be for the existing fence, I believe. Yeah. So if they have to make any major repairs to it, then they will have to move it back to the property line.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm prepared to make a motion.
All right.
I move that council authorize the mayor and the CAO to endorse the encroachment agreement for 5108 44th Avenue, lots 3 to 5, block 29, plan 6390L.
Great, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.4, encroachment agreement, 5404 45th Avenue. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, Mr. Jansen, please take this away too.
So administration has received another encroachment agreement. This one includes 2 encroachments for the property located at 5404 45 Avenue. The first encroachment is the corner of a fence located in the southeast corner of the property. It's an encroachment of 0.32 meters. And as per encroachment agreement policy PLN-3, it has to be brought forward to council for consideration. The second encroachment is 0.23 meters into municipal property. It is a shed eave, and that is located on the southern portion of the lot in the southwest corner and encroaches into the laneway. As it is only 0.23 meters into the laneway, this one, as per encroachment agreement policy PLN-3, is to be considered by the CAO as it is less than 0.3 meters.
Any questions arising? Councillor Thames.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, looking at the pictures that have been attached to our package that we got, how does that affect our fire department if they have to go down that alley and do something between the shed and that garage? Have we talked to the fire department or asked, can they still access this or not? My fear is not the shed. My fear is can they get to the house?
That would be something we can look into further. It's was not looked into as part of this encroachment agreement.
Chief Munchaw, you had a comment?
Yeah.
Sure, no problem. Absolutely.
Council, I would not have any issue with that. Our apparatus at 8.6 feet, we're able to get down that alley. We wouldn't pay if we put any outriggers for outrigger sides for the ladder truck, but nor could we unless it was an engineering service.
Sure.
Any other questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council authorize the mayor and CAO to endorse the encroachment agreement for 5404 45th Avenue, lots 1 to 3, block 23, plan 6390L.
Great, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.5, Municipal District of Taber Council appointments. Mr. Armfelt.
Yes, at the end of the year, towards the end of the year, last council meeting in October, generally, there are some changes made to boards and committees on both sides of the line. This is your official notice from the MD that they have made some changes to their suite of councillors who are on some the committees and the boards that we both sit on. So there's that information for you, and your recognition through the form of a motion is requested.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Councillor Beckering?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Prepare to make a motion.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, move that we recognize the Municipal District of Taber's appointments to the Joint Economic Development Committee, the Taber and District Solid Waste Management Committee, and the Intermunicipal Development Committee, and on the basis of the recommendation of the Municipal District of Taber Council, appoints municipal district representatives to town boards as follows. Town of Taber Recreation Board, Reeve Merrill Harris, and Taber Municipal Library Board, Council Jennifer Croson, and Reeve Harris as alternate.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.6, Media Relations Policy. Mr. Armfelt.
Yes, I'm going to turn this one over to Ms. Brennan to run us through the changes to this one, please.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brennan.
Afternoon, Council. So as you can see in your agenda package, our previous media policy is a slight bit outdated, and a few things have changed in the media since 1991. So we've crafted a new policy and procedure, and it is basically what we do now with our media, but it makes it clear for council administration, and it includes our boards, committees, and commissions as well. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them here. Otherwise, we'd be happy to have this new policy to work with in the future.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Towns.
Well, Mr. Mayor, no questions. I read that. I think it's great. And I have a motion that council adopts the Media Relations Policy ADM-11 as presented.
Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.7, amended payments, refunds, and cash legal tender policy. Mr. Armfelt.
Yes, we're still moving through these policy amendments. Ms. Dam can move us through the next one.
Thank you, Council. So administration is requesting that Council accepts the amendments to payments, refunds, and cash legal tender policy number CS-FIN-5 to include the contents from policy number 3C-641/81 rather than having that policy be a standalone policy.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Beckering.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Armfelt, through the Ms. Dam, is a penny still legal tender?
In our policy, that it shows that there is rounding, so I don't believe that it is cash legal tender anymore.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Garner.
I'm prepared to make a motion that council approves the payment, refunds, and cash legal tender policy number CS-FIN-5 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.8, fee assistance policy. Mr. Armfelt.
Yeah, this is actually an exciting new policy, not bringing around the block an old existing policy. I just turn over to Ms. Phillips to introduce this one. This is should be a feather in our hat if council chooses to adopt this. Please go ahead.
Ms. Phillips.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Administration has been approached on several occasions over the last year asking if the town of Taber offers any form of fee assistance for low-income families. These requests have often come from senior groups and special need groups. So we looked into what other communities were doing. There's a variety of options out there, and obviously there's many options. What administration is recommending is that we offer our programs and drop-in uses at 50% discount to low-income families. This would apply to Town of Taber programs that we're offering in the Aquafund Center and Auditorium, like guess that's about it. What we will partner with FCSS to screen families rather than administration being involved in looking at people's finances. And they've agreed to work with us should we agree to move forward with this. And this would allow us to maintain confidentiality as well. So FCSS would provide a referral letter including all members of the families that would be included in this program. There's a guideline in place right now with FCSS that we're proposing we follow, and those income thresholds are listed here. They do a income tax program, so we're using the same thresholds. It does not mean that families need to do their taxes through FCSS. This is just the income threshold. This would apply to both town and MD residents as was recommended at the rec board level. And this policy was brought to the rec board on December 5th.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bickering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Mr. Armfeld just said, this is indeed exciting news. It was discussed at our last Recreation Board meeting. Ms. Phillips, I got to applaud you for bringing it forward. And I think this is about high time we do something for those who cannot afford to participate fully. I fully support this new initiative.
Yes.
And I'm going to echo them comments, and I think the joy of it is that it's not our staff, town administration staff, that has to monitor or do this paperwork. There's a program in place through FCSS that will do this, so our staff is not looking at people's tax return or doing this stuff. It's a great program. And we debated it, we talked about it for a long time at Rec Board, and it came out crystal clear that what the Rec Board and what Don is proposing here is a phenomenal program, and I fully support it also.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
I agree with both Councillor Tams and Councillor Beckering said, and I especially appreciate that it also includes residents of the MD of Taber. I think that's an important thing. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Garner.
That motion. The council approves the proposed fee assistance program PS-REC-13 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.9, Community Recreation Volunteerism Policy and Procedure. Mr. Armfeld.
Yes, I'm going to turn this one over to Ms. Phillips again. The context of this is that earlier in the year, Council challenged administration to come up with a bit more of a streamlined system to how to accommodate volunteers, individual that want to do volunteer work based on their interests within the municipality. Of course, there is a bit of a double-edged sword to everything. This one has a bit of it with regards to liability and ensuring those people that are going to volunteer either sign off on a waiver that they are accepting all those risks themselves or provide some form of liability insurance. We've been around and spoken to a number of groups about this, and we feel that we've got a package that we can present back to council that is adoptable, and with consideration that you'll see in recommendation number 2, that would satisfy one of our most important groups that volunteer within the town. Do you have anything else to add with that, Ms. Phillips?
No, I think you covered it all, so just if there's any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Bruin.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion that council approves Community and Recreation Facilities Volunteer Policy PS REC-7 as presented. Is this 2 motions or is this 1?
I would recommend that it go through as 2 motions.
All right. Okay. So first motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Second motion requirements. Councillor Tams.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that council approves the financial support to communities in bloom to acquire liability insurance.
All right. Thank you. Now, just clarification. Do we need to add that amount and or where that money is coming from, Mr. Armfeld?
If you would like to add the source for it, that's best practice. If not, I'll pick. Certainly, if you would like to take it under the wing of the council discretionary fund, that would be a good spot for it to come out of.
Question: the estimated cost of $800 annually, that could be $795, could be $825. So would you like a max amount to the value of $1,000?
If you were going to set the maximum, I would suggest we set the maximum to $1,500. The reason I say that is because I phoned and talked to a member of the insurance industry and explained to him what we were looking for. I mean, they certainly have I's to dot and T's to cross as this gets closer to reality. And he quoted that it would be from $800 to $1,000 likely. But I did not actually go through the entire process of securing a legitimate quote. So I think there probably should be some upper level buffer there, but we're guessing $800 to $1,000.
Mr. Mayor, because we haven't voted on it, could I maybe rephrase my motion?
You can.
Then I would move that council approves the financial support to communities in Bloom to acquire liability insurance to a maximum of $1,600
To come from where?
from the council discretionary fund. Thank you.
Sorry. Councillor Becker?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would support the motion except for the council discretionary funds. I think it's empty as a result of the motion that was passed regarding the lawnmower for the golf course.
Yeah, so administration would recommend that this be going forward for 2020, that this be in existence for 2020. That's when they would be active again and would be seeking that coverage.
I'm going to stick with my original motion.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess just to clarify, just you need to indicate the 2020 timeframe to cover that.
Yep, more specificity is always better.
You're good with that? Okay, with the friendly amendment attachment. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 610, sidewalks, curb, and gutter management policy. Mr. Armfield.
Yeah, Mr. Lehigi, I see him rising to come to talk about the curb and gutter management policy 3-year review. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Afternoon.
This policy is from renewing from 1997, and when I went through it, everything stays the same except a couple of small changes that I made to it, and it's all ready to be approved. Do you have any?
Any questions whatsoever? Councillor Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there incidents of people not taking care of their runoffs through the curb and gutter that might damage the town infrastructure? Are there situations like that in this town?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This bylaw is meant to inhibit damage to the town's infrastructure by people not taking care of their runoff water through their curbs and gutter systems. So have there been occasions, sir, that people have done that?
This is mainly for replacing the infrastructure. For example, the sidewalks when they are uneven. This is more for that. This is not or for the runoffs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council approves the curb and gutter management policy PS-PW-6 as presented as per the 3-year revision practice.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 611, policies proposed for repeal. Mr. Armfield.
Yes, Mr. Dusky has a couple of more policies for repeal. I think we're getting down to about 10 or 12 left, municipal wide here. So it should be just a couple more meetings into 2020 and we'll have this one checked off. So please, Mr. Dusky, go ahead.
Council members, your worship. So the request before you is to repeal 2 travel policies. One is the travel rates policy number 68S-83819, which is prescribed in the new travel subsistence policy CS-HR-1. The second one is the travel expense reimbursement policy manual policy number 1, which is also prescribed in the travel subsistence policy CS-HR-1.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council repeals travel rates policy number 68-83819.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And the second motion requirement? Councillor Firth.
Mr. Mayor, I move the council repeals travel expense reimbursement policy manual policy number 1.
Great, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 612, Tier Municipal Police Commission Report. Mr. Armstrong.
Yes, the report is attached to this request for decision. If there's any specific questions, I can facilitate those answers through Chief Abella.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Someone prepared to make that motion? Councillor Thames.
Mr. Mayor, that council accepts the Taber Municipal Police Commission report for information.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 613, Department Reports. Mr. Armfield.
Council has for your consideration the suite of department reports for the month of December. We're here to answer any questions you might have on the contents.
All right, thank you. I'll just go through them individually. If there's any questions, just stop me accordingly, please. Starting with the Recreation Department report. Engineering and Public Works.
Question.
Councillor Thames.
It's not on the report, but how is Mr. Scheer doing?
I think he's awfully bored. He's recovering well. The reality of the severity of the operation set in a few days after the operation. But I think he is on the mend. You expect him back sometime in January, and giving him direction to take it easy for the Christmas holidays and come back in January.
Piece of advice, Mr. Mayor, don't back off on that. Anybody with a bad back that had an operation, make them wait. It's good for
Yeah, that's what we're hoping that he.
Are you a doctor?
Yeah, I am now.
All right, thank you for that update. Next is the Water and Wastewater Treatment Department reports. Fire Department report. Finance Activity report. Administrative Service report. CAO Activity report. Plan and Economic Development Activity report. And HR Activity reports. No further questions. Someone make that motion. Councillor Garner.
Prepared to make that motion. The council accepts the department reports for information purposes.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 614, Mayor and Council reports. Councillor Garner.
I attended all the meetings that I needed to be at, and keep it short and sweet, and just wish to take the opportunity to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Great, thank you. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a busy month. I attended numerous meetings, particularly Highway 3 twinning meetings, and I attended on behalf of Councillor Carly Firth the South Grove Annual General Meeting, which was a very interesting meeting. Went very well.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Merry Christmas.
I attended all the meetings I was required to attend, as well as the Kiwanis Carol Festival and Coffee with Council, except for the South Grove Annual General Meeting, which Councillor Bruin was kind enough to attend for me.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the meetings also I'm required to attend. I had the privilege to attend a convention in Edmonton on behalf of Family Community Support Service of Alberta a couple of weeks ago. It was very enlightening. The Minister of Children's Services gave a speech, and it looks like the possible financing for Family Community Support Service might be stable for the next year, but there was no guarantee. Really enjoyed it though.
All right, good. Thank you. Councillor Thames.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I attended the meetings I had to attend. I attended my first Tabor District Housing meeting, and our chairperson broke her foot. So I, for the first time in my life, attended a meeting at a private residence council, which was really a lot of fun with Tabor District Housing because she couldn't make it to the meeting, so we went there. And it was kind of a neat thing. And at the last rec board meeting, I was totally enthralled with the direction that our rec board manager is taking and where she's looking at for rec board and arts and culture. It's just been a lot of fun to be on the rec board with the great things that are going on. And with that, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
All right, thank you. And as far as myself, I attended a variety of meetings also, fairly steady month as well. A couple of highlights, did attend the Kiwanis Christmas concert. Very nice evening, as well as the Filipino Christmas concert here just the other night. Also very well done and a lot of fun to be part of those events and great for the community as well. And I also would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year for 2020 going forward. Thank you. Someone prepared to make that motion? Anyone? Councillor Firth?
Mr. Mayor, I move the council accepts the mayor and councillor reports for information.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And item 6:15, standard item council requests. Anything arising? Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a concern brought forward to me by a resident who lives on 62nd Avenue, just east of 50th Street. That particular person is really concerned about the school bus traveling on that avenue as they come out of the bus barns in the morning and in the afternoons. And he would like to know whether or not that particular avenue is a truck route or a bus route, because they should be taking 64th in his opinion. Any clarification, Mr. Armfelt?
We can certainly look into that and bring some feedback back to the first meeting in January, if that's acceptable.
Thank you, Mr. Armfelt. I really appreciate that. I won't make a motion to that effect. Is that all right?
No, and yeah, we can provide council with that information attached to this request for decision in the new year. Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else? I'd just like to add an item related to our new annexation area, Trout Pond and area that is now in actual town of Tabor limits. We had an ask here just recently to coffee with council about the Trout Pond Trail out of that location. And I'm just wondering if we can have something brought forward for the first meeting in January related to exploring, doing at least the partial, clearing the partial trail out there around the Trout Pond. That was the ask, and understandable, maybe not feasible to do the north-south all the way out to the park boundary areas. Probably an extreme, but the path around the pond is used quite regularly, and that was the ask if we could consider that sometime in the future, and or what kind of costs, additional costs we might be looking at for that. I know we do have policy that deals with taking care of the trails in a timely manner. This is new, as is the annexation portion. But I think that was a reasonable ask by this individual who uses that herself, and as well as a variety of other people that are out there on a regular basis. Councillor Thames.
Just for clarification, Mr. Mayor, so you're talking from the parking lot just around the lake itself, not the extremities.
The trail around the pond, around the Trout Pond itself, correct. That's 2.5 kilometers, yes.
Excuse me, it's 2.5 kilometers now.
I believe that's accurate. It's 2.5 kilometers around the pond. I believe we did 4.5 kilometers all total. I'm pretty sure it's 2.5 around the pond itself, give or take. Is that reasonable, Mr. Armfelt, for information?
Yeah, we can for sure add that to a request for decision for early January. There's a couple other considerations with this land coming into the jurisdiction of the town of Tabor that we would like to bring forward as well. So we can add that. There's probably 2 or 3 things that we have to get clarity on from a policy direction, how council would like to go with this newly acquired property that we have.
Right.
So we'll bring that forward and add that to
Sure. Thank you. And you
list.
don't need an actual motion. That's
No, we
basically
were going to do it anyway because
Okay.
there are a couple of important items there that we just have to get clarity on.
This is
now
just an
that-
add-on.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anything else arising for new possibilities, standing item related? All right, and we don't need any motion. Where there's a couple of things still ongoing, correct?
Yes, just to look at these 2 things. How are we doing with the acquisition of carpet at the community center? Okay. Okay, so we'll probably take this bottom one off once that carpet lands. The first 2 are, of course, Councillor Stravas' hosting request for 2021.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Okay, on to item 7, delegations. We have no delegations today. Meeting inquiries. Trevor, Tabor Times.
No inquiries, but maybe just a point of order. Did council discuss item 612 on the agenda?
612. Municipal Police Commission report?
Yeah.
Yes, we did. There was
Yes,
a motion.
I
There was a
made the motion. I made the motion, Trevor, to accept it.
Sure, we're good. That must have been fast.
It's Christmas
It
time.
was fairly
It
quick,
was.
yeah.
Okay. Nothing further.
That's got it covered. Okay, perfect. With that, then I would just ask for a motion for a 30-minute break. Councillor Beckering,
Mr. Mayor,
motion on the table.
Pardon me, but can we reconvene in closed session after that
Oh,
30-minute break?
Yes, we can do. Councillor
Mr. Mayor, I'll make that part of the motion. We adjourn for half an hour till 5 o'clock and then reconvene in closed session.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I would have got that motion.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.